Hey everyone, welcome back to Brain Muffin at the Movies. And here we have from BGR and actually several other sources have confirmed this, that Marvel, on the heels of Lucasfilm and Disney releasing dates for the next coming Star Wars trilogy and Avatar movies, we have Marvel announcing release dates for every MCU Phase 4 movie through 2022, which is really, only 3 years out, but they've been releasing 3 or 4 a year, except, they still released 3, I guess, in the last 12 months. Some years obviously it took a while to get the MCU built up, but and then they went crazy. So with Avengers Endgame out in theaters worldwide, this chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is coming to a close. The last film will be Spider-Man: Far From Home, which is. We did finally get a concrete schedule for Phase 4. So Phase 3 ends with Spider-Man: Far From Home, in case anybody's not paying attention. All this good stuff started at Iron Man 2008. Following its recent acquisition of Fox Film Studios, Disney shared an updated release schedule. Okay, we've covered that previously in a Pop Culture Minute. And because I wanted to talk a little bit more about these, unfortunately, every Marvel movie is titled Untitled Marvel. So we don't know what these are. We don't know. We assume we're going to get a second Black Panther movie. I think we might get a third Ant-Man. I don't know if it'd be an Ant-Man and the Wasp. We might get a separate Wasp movie, which would be interesting. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a Scarlet Witch movie. The scuttlebutt is there'll be a Disney Plus show that character will be a part of. Doesn't mean she won't show up in others. I would really like to see that. And anybody hasn't seen Endgame with Black Widow dead, I still would like to see a Black Widow Hawkeye movie. Maybe in that 5 years, the skip forward, or maybe slightly back in time, but I know it's Phase 4 and we're trying to move forward, but, unfortunately. So here we have May 1st, so 2020. So it looks like we're going to take a bit of a break before we get the next one, which I don't know if they've even started filming yet. So next year, May 1st, and then at the end, and then looks like we're going to have 3 and 3. So it's this kind of a ramp up. There's a lot of speculation about whether there's probably going to be another Captain Marvel movie. Will we get a Squirrel Girl movie? Will we get a Riri Williams Iron Man style movie where Tony is the avatar or the AI interface? Which would be an interesting way to put Robert in these movies, kind of in the Jarvis-esque role, which we would see him, kind of like a hologram type thing. It still would be, motion capture, that kind of thing. But anyway, we have 3 in 2021 and 3 in 2022. I don't know beyond this. So the first thing you might notice that Marvel is apparently only planning to launch 2 movies, which breaks from the 3 scheduled year, but they've done 4 in the past. Apparently, very little is made official, but based on rumors and reports, multiple Marvel movies already in various stages of production, including Black Widow prequel. So there we go, which is good. I've been wanting a Black Widow movie for quite some time. I think that character deserves it, and I think Scarlett has definitely put in the hours as a supporting character to get her own movie. Movie featuring Shang-Chi, an Eternals movie, not Internals, and sequels to Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, so we know we're going to get a Volume 3. I forgot about Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange 2 would be interesting to see what they do, with that character, because he's grown quite a bit in the other movies outside of his own. So James Gunn involvement, Suicide Squad, a movie for DC, will keep him busy for several months at least, which makes 2021 seem like the earliest we'd possibly see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And there, remember the scuttlebutt there with James? We had a bunch of people who, were saying, hey, if he's not a part of Volume 3, I don't want to be in it. There was speculation that they were going to kill off some of those characters, which they didn't, for some of the actors that were saying that, which is fine. That's fine. And it's hard to imagine Marvel waiting too long before getting the new team together for another Avengers movie, so perhaps we'll see that in 2022. I suspect we'll see my feeling is the next Captain Marvel movie will be essentially kind of like the Captain America movies, where once we got past this first one, where you have some of the Avengers characters in it, and it's him essentially earning that role as the leader. And I suspect we'll have that with Captain Marvel, and then we'll have an Avengers movie after that. So my suspicion is the next Captain Marvel movie will be Carol Danvers becoming the leader. Basically, at the end of it, she'll be the leader of the Avengers. Now, I know there's a bunch of speculation about Spider-Man. Looks like Spider-Man's kind of becoming the new Iron Man, which is fine. And so I don't have a problem necessarily with Captain America being replaced by Captain Marvel and Iron Man being replaced by Spider-Man as far as those roles. I know there's obviously a different personality and stuff like that, as long as the writing's good. This has been the biggest complaint about Captain Marvel that I know from people who've seen the movies, and we don't have any comments, is the Carol Danvers character. Even in the comics, she's very poorly written. Then you add all the political nonsense on top of it, which people don't want to go hear in their entertainment. And they're not going to an art house movie. They're not going to something that's a drama about, the horrors of war or something. These are escapist entertainment, and that's the issue there. So that's kind of my take. I suspect that these movies, this movie right here in November could be the next Captain Marvel movie, so that they kind of strike while the iron's hot, but I suspect that's going to be this one. Start of the summer blockbuster season in 2021 is going to be the Captain Marvel, where she then takes over the Avengers. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the next Avengers movie. And then maybe this one or this one, the May or July, is kind of a final. And I don't know if there's going to be a phase 4. Phase 5, this seems pretty light for this phase, but a lot of it's going to, I think part of it too is are people really tired of these movies. We've had 11 years of this, and we have Endgame, and a lot of emotion and things got wrapped up in that movie and ended. And do people really want these 3 times a year, or we're going to go back to something like, in the 90s we had Batman, or in the early 2000s we had a few Spider-Man movies and we had a few Batman movies, but we didn't have 3 or 4 of these a year, even from different, studios, and we might get some kind of rotation or something like that. And I wouldn't have a problem with them with Endgame being done, and then we get some individual movies, and maybe they're part of that MCU storyline, like the prequel for Black Widow, or maybe they're just standalone with some connections, kind of like we get with the Batman movies in the 90s and early 2000s, or even like the Superman movie in 1 and 2. I know 1 and 2 were kind of done together, but then 3, you have some continuation, but it's more of a serial, right? So the continuation is the characters. They don't just reset every movie. The characters that are always in them, Lois Lane and Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen, things like that. I wouldn't mind either way, as long as they're written well. But I am fatigued of these. But even in the MCU, Marvel was using about 3 different scripts and just kind of copy pasting and replacing. And that was one of the reasons why I actually like Doctor Strange, because it doesn't fit that mold as neatly. There are some things that I didn't like. They went with the trope of the master holding back some information, being not so truthful, and that was stupid. It's an overused trope. And then the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, not just the music, but it was a bit of a different take, some humor and other things. But then it got too formulaic for me, and I just got bored with them. So what do you think? Do you think this is an ambitious schedule? Do you think there's going to be more? What do you think this May 1st movie next year is going to be, or the May 7th in 2 years? I think this is the next, I guess part of it will be they'll be testing the waters. I would not be surprised if this is the next Captain Marvel and this is the Avengers movie. But that's not a whole lot of time. So November maybe is the next Captain Marvel movie. And then 6 months later we get her leading the Avengers on May 7th. But I suspect this is the next Avengers movie with Carol Danvers as the head, and probably Peter Parker, if Sony will let them still use Spider-Man, as kind of the brash personality that Tony Stark was at the beginning. All right. So what do you think? Thanks for leaving comments, and thanks for subscribing, and we will see you. Goodbye. Yeah, we don't know. Okay. Yeah, we don't know, but we're going to do that. All right. So fine. 3, 2, 1.